Random Rockers. Apparently, I have a little bit of a difficulty with something. Because I played it way too much. Just like that one. Yep. Shit happens. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna rock this out as much as I can. Slightly different look. Figured I needed it in order to, appeal to the masses, I guess. If that even matters. Overall, the whole point of what we're doing here is to talk about the new Steven Wilson EP 4.5, since technically they have had 4 albums thus far, this being the 4th album and one of his best. I still have yet to hear the other 3 solo albums, and have yet to fully embrace Porcupine Tree, but from what I've gathered from the EP, I'm interested in Porcupine Tree for sure, since one of these tracks is a Porcupine Tree song that was recorded live and was intentionally meant in the beginning from Steven Wilson for that song to be a two-way conversation. And the decision to have the chorus be done with the female vocals of Ninette Tayeb. I don't know, it's Tayeb. I don't know how you pronounce it. She's an Israeli singer who is very much heavily involved in this. Especially her vocals during parts in Routine were very reminiscent of Stevie Nicks. And to some degree, that's kind of noticeable on this EP as well. With that particular track, everything else on here are tracks that, other tracks of which are instrumentals. The most highlighted and heaviest of them all is, of course, Vermilion Core. Times it kind of reminds me a little bit of some guitar work that could be maybe John Frusciante, I think is the name, Frusciante, that used to be the original guitarist for Red Hot Chili Peppers, and maybe a little bit of some things reminiscent to maybe even Faith No More and Mr. Bungle, for that matter. Maybe a Jim Martin-ish, kind of, though that's more on this album than anything. Wow. This album just fucking hit me at my core, to a point where anyone else who tells this album may as well be dissing me. It's like, it hit me that far, that hard. No album can hit you as an album that should be, when it comes to music, is something that should hit you, mind, heart, and soul. And even mind, body, spirit, soul, mind, body, heart, soul, whatever. To that fundamental basics, right into your core. That is what this album has done. Maybe not as much as it had the first listen go around, but my goodness gracious, apparently I scratched this thing, if you hadn't already heard that from the beginning. Other than that, it's hard to talk about the lyrics, but each song on here has been actual songs, aside from Don't Hate Me, are Happiness 3 and the Book of Regret, and My Book of Regrets is what I believe it's called. And those kind of have a Death Cab for Cutie-ish feel to it, but with a little more of like a Radiohead, Pink Floyd, pretty well early 70s progressive rock style. A lot of the stuff that's going on here involved on this is stuff that's kind of a culmination of things that were happening from this album and the last album, even that Refused to Sing and other songs. And this was just a solid EP, solid tracks. It's best that you know what you're getting yourself into before you listen to this EP, though, because after having this hit you like a brick, hit you like a brick in your core, man. In fact, yeah, I want to talk about this, but this is, in case you want to know what it looks like, since I talked about it and never got a chance to show you guys, that's what it looks like. It's kind of part of it, in case you haven't figured that out. So, yeah, best album 2015, follow up with this EP, I say, not a bad decision, just prepare yourself, and know that these are just leftover tracks. Of course, the heaviest thing you'll hear instrumentally from him, as far as and of course, most of his solo work, as opposed to Porcupine Tree, is very more wrapped around jazz fusion-esque stuff. Though in the case of what happened with this, they went a little less jazzy and a lot more poppy, in the vein of when. And I find out it definitely from the Don't Hate Me track, since that is off of Stupid Dream, from that era of Porcupine Tree, as well as Light Bulb Sun, actually, is the name of it. That era, specifically. Turn of the 21st century era of them. Wouldn't surprise me if Muse may have taken some influence on them, whether or not they choose to admit it. I probably think that they more than likely could have. They just didn't know what to do with it and how to do it right. And we're more focused on the Radiohead-esque stuff, which is what they used to be like, and now Kate Hudson really must have fucked with Matt Bellamy in his head, but that's whatever. Whatever. Another rant for another time. Overall, this EP rocks. A lot. I mean, I scratched it. I mean, I played it a lot, and it's got it scratched, so I'd say it's pretty high up there. It rocks all the way. In fact, I'm gonna put this EP over here. Right over there. On that amp. That's the good side. No offense to bass players, but that bass will be where the shit albums go. I like bass, but I can do more with this, and I can listen to that album more. So there you go. It rocks. Straight up. And that's it, guys. Next. And up next, we will have this album. Stay tuned for all you punk rockers out there. Actually, I remember what I was going to do. As always, keep it random, keep it real, and keep it roppin'. Okay. If you smell what random, rockin' real riffs and reviews is cooking.